Alrighty, everybody. It's Dr. Stan, known as Dr. Breakthrough. Again, I always give a disclaimer. I can't provide a breakthrough. I just prescribe the breakthrough. But when people follow the breakthrough prescription, God provides it. And our special guest today is going to blow your mind. As a matter of fact, my friend, a breakthrough is exploding through barriers that at one time seemed insurmountable. Somebody today, Jerry, is going to have a bumblebee breakthrough. Now you say, Doc, what's a bumblebee breakthrough? Well, aerodynamically, it's impossible for the bumblebee to fly. His body is too small in proportion to his wings. But because the bumblebee doesn't believe that, he flies anyway. So in spite of what they told you, you can't be, you can't do, you can do it, my friend, when you believe. So as a matter of fact, let me get the right background here so we can get everything going. This is our how to make an extra 9K to 90K or more in 90 days or less series. And our special guest today, Jerry DRhino Clark. Hey, welcome, Jerry, to the show.
Dr. Stan, it's my pleasure to be here. You're talking about $9,000 to $90,000 within how long?
Or more in 90 days or less.
Or more. Oh, I better take my glasses off for that. Oh.
Yeah. So what's so funny is the first day I started this, I got a call from Myron 2 days before. He said, "Hey, Doc, I'm be in the town." I said, "Well, look, I'm busy this day, can't make it, but I can make this day. After I do this, I'm doing this new challenge." And so anyway, so I did this my first day. I was feeling good. People give me compliments. This really helped me. You empower me. One guy, Jerry, 73, he said, "Man, I never heard anything like this in my life." And I said, "Wow, that's okay." So I'm feeling pretty good driving down there. I go there and watch mine for an hour and a half. And and I see people go to buy his package. He asked me to go up to his room afterwards, and he had done like over 900,000, ended up being 970,000. So I said, "Myron, don't laugh at me, man." I said, "I was feeling good coming down here, and I just got done teaching on how to make an extra 9K to 90K or more in 90 days or less." And then here you do. He said, "Well, wait a minute. You said extra 9K to 90K or more, right?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, 970,000 is more." And then you said 90
That'll
days or
work.
less, right? I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, hour and a half is less." So I said, "You did it." Well, that got me thinking you were actually at that event that day. And I remember when I first told Myron, I said, "Man, he's having this event." I said, "You got to have Jerry Clark speak." He said, "Jerry, why would I have Jerry Clark speak?" I was like, "Dude, because he'll blow the thing." Man, Myron, trust, dude, I ain't never left you anywhere wrong before. So just trust me. He's like, "Man, I don't need Jerry. I don't need it." I was like, "Myron." He said, "Okay." So, of course, that's before he's super big. He's super big now. It takes me 2 weeks to get him on the phone. But anyway, but he had you, and I never forget after you spoke, he's like, "What?" He's like, "Okay, I'm buying everything that guy has. Can I take you out to lunch? What else?" And so it's been a long journey since then. So again,
Yeah.
Jared, welcome, man. And again, appreciate you and all that you've done to make a difference in people's lives when it comes to human empowerment. And so I was going to have you on here. So why don't you let us know, have you ever made, and of course I know you have because the first time you and I were speaking at an event, but have you ever made 9K to 90K or more in a 90-day or less time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, plenty of time. But let me tell you the time that I think is the most impactful for me, the thing that really made the big difference for me.
Sure.
I remember taking my son, my oldest son, who's now 38 years young. Oh my goodness, 38. His name is Christopher. And I remember taking him with me on one of my speaking engagements because I required somebody to assist me at the table. You know how once you speak, people go to the table and they get your products and so forth. I said, you know what? I'm going to have my son come with me on this one.
Hold
I
on,
want him.
Hold on. Not everybody, when you speak, they go run into your table.
So I said, I want him to experience this because, I've talked to him about it. I think he was probably 14, 15, or 16 at the time. So this was 20 something years ago. This was a long time ago. And so he was like, "Yeah, Dad, I want to go with you and so forth. I'll help." And I told him, I'll pay you to help. And he's like, "Wait, what are you going to pay me?" So anyway, I said, yeah, I'll pay you something, like $10 an hour or $15 an hour, something like that. Remember, this was a while ago. So he was excited. He was like, "Oh, wow." So we fly over to this place and I have 90 minutes to speak at this venue. We have hundreds and hundreds of people there. And at the end of the venue, we had all kinds of people run to the back of the room after I made my offer to purchase my offer. So I have stacks and stacks of order forms. And so Christopher is helping me with all this. First of all, he's a little bit like, whoa. And I have a couple other people back there helping too. But at the end, we go back to our hotel room and I said, I want you to sort this out. I want you to count these order forms so we can kind of get an idea of how many people we're able to impact today. So he counted the forms and I said, what would that add up to? He added up everything. It's like over $300,000. And he was like, Dad, you just made $300,000 in 90 minutes? And I said, yeah, and this is not the most that I've made in 90 minutes. He said, this is what you do when you go out and speak all the time? I said, yeah. And he said, you speak a lot. I said, yeah. He said, so you make a lot. But the reason why that was impactful is because my son got a chance to experience it at that particular moment. And it opened his eyes for him to realize that, wow, there's a lot of people that spend a whole year trying to make $300,000. My dad just did this in 90 minutes. And I can see a shift, even though we've talked about those types of things before, but when you experience it, it's a little bit different. So I would say that one was the most impactful. And yes, you repeated that, obviously over and over and over again, many, many times over the years.
Wow. Yeah, I just been talking to people from different industries, different fields. And I know you've done it, and not just in the speaking arena, but I know you do some other things as well. And even in your coaching, which is another form of that, you're speaking, you're coaching. And I know you've done some real estate, there's all kind of things. But at any rate, but again, we just want to empower people. And again, I learned this from you, Jerry. When I first met you, I think I was working with a company there, and I'd broken the company's record. And so they had me speaking at the event, me and Jim Rohn. And this guy said, hey, man, I got the Rhino coming to speak for my group as a little thing. And I was like, Rhino? Like, he said, yeah, he's a brother. I was like a brother? Because I was like the only brother in there. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, man. And so I never forget. I said, well, let me know when he's speaking. I came here. I was like, what in the world you mentioned about I don't know. I hope it's okay to mention. I think you had done like 600,000 that month, and one of the guys was sitting next to me. Said, "Man, I bought his big pack. I forget how much it was. He said, a matter of fact, I bought that big pack 3 times." I was like, "Excuse me?" He said, "Man, the guy." He said, "He's so good, man." He said, "I bought the thing 3 times." He said, "But let me tell you why." He said, "Because it changed my life." He said it wasn't just his powerful presentation, but his stuff when you implement it. Now, if you just put it on the shelf, there's no shelf development. It's called self, right? But he said, but it changed my life, and so I was like, wow. And yes, when you and I got connected, and then Doug Fireball, and as a matter of fact, he's part of the series also. But so again,
Awesome.
Jared, so man, that's so powerful, man. And thank you again. So again, you've done it, and I want people to understand it can be done, because summertime, a lot of, especially people in home-based business and so forth, their business goes down. But what I found out is, instead of trying to break through something, the way you have a breakthrough is by focusing on breaking to something. And so instead of saying, well, I don't want to have a bad summer, I don't want my income to go down. No. You got to focus on getting it up. So have some other people, role models who've done it, and let them tell you what they've done and so forth. So, so you've done it several times. And so if somebody asks you, Jerry, what would you tell me? Would you give me some advice if I wanted to make sure I could increase and make an extra 9K, 90K or more in 90 days or less? What are some things that you would teach or tell me?
Yeah. It's actually one of the things that my clients come to me, people that I coach that are relatively new, they're just getting started and so forth. They're trying to figure out their place in this arena. And right now I work with a lot of coaches, authors, trainers, speakers, and so forth to assist them. And one of the first things we do is we kind of figure out what their superpowers are. I believe everyone has probably 2 or 3 superpowers. And a superpower, what I mean is some type of skill, some type of know-how, something that you know how to do. You know how to do it very well. And there are other people that would likely want to know how to do that as well. So you want to kind of figure what that is as soon as you possibly can. And most people already know what it is, but it's like the types of things that people come to you for, and they ask you questions about, or things that you do so easily, and it seems like other people aren't able to do it so easily. And you're wondering, why come they can't do that either? This is like, it's almost like it's natural for you. So we kind of figure out what your superpowers are, and then we hone in on one of those. Like, what's going to be the lowest hanging fruit? Like, which one of these is going to be the easiest way to really connect to a particular audience that wants this superpower, that can really use this particular skill of yours. And so we started to figure out, who are you going to be able to offer this superpower to, based on who requires it, who needs it, who wants it, and so forth. And then we work on creating an offer. So now you got to have an offer that you can offer these people, because if you don't have an offer, then they can't buy your offer, right? So you got to be able to have an offer. And then we got to figure out where these people are and how you can get out there and reach out to these people to let them know that you exist. Because if they don't know that you exist, you can have the greatest superpower in the world, but no one is going to take advantage of it because they don't know you exist. So that's the key there. So in other words, a lot of it deals with you got to have some skill sets. That's the superpower. You got to have the mindset too, kind of like what you're saying, where people are communicating lack into their life by saying that, oh, my business is going to be going down and so forth. That's the language of failure. That's the language of lack. That's the language of limitation. So you don't want that language. You want the language of empowerment. You want to be speaking that. Like, if you feel like, man, how do I get out there and reach out to people? That's not the, like why come I can't reach out to people? Or why come people, I got these great skills, but no one is coming to me, or something like that. You ask a different question. How can I get more exposure out there in the marketplace so people know the value that I have to bring, and they can come to me and I can serve them at the highest level. That type of thing is where you want to be coming at. So if you do have a really great superpower that you can kind of figure out, and out of the 2 or 3 that you may have, whatever the lowest hanging fruit one is, in other words, the one that's going to be easiest for you to go ahead and get to the marketplace, where people will know that you exist, and then you guys can start that communication flow. That communication flow could be, it could be a really simple, relatively quick one at this point, depending on the pain or the problem that people have. So if they have a problem or a pain that is really compelling, then that's the one that you're going to want to go for. If they have something that's it's kind of there, but it's not that big of a deal. So in other words, you want to supply the painkiller and not the vitamin. When it comes to this, people that need the painkiller, I'll tell you, one day, I knew something was up with my tooth back here. Something was going on with it. I wasn't really sure what was going on, but it was irritating me. And I went to the dentist, and the dentist said, you're going to have to get a root canal. And I was like, it just wasn't irritating me enough, especially when he told me how much it was going to cost to do it. I was like, yeah, that's nice. I don't have a problem paying, a few $1,000s to do it, but right now, it's just not the time, blah, blah, blah. Probably about 3 weeks later, 3 or 4 weeks later, I was in so much pain. That I went to any dental surgeon that I can get to that can extract the root canal and so forth, right there on the spot. I wanted someone to do it right there. I don't want to wait for, come back next week, let's set an appointment. No, right there on the spot, I was willing to pay any amount of money that they wanted to. And so that's the type of situation that I'm talking about. There's certain people that have pressing issues right now and so forth. If you can identify that, of course, and you have a skill that can help alleviate that pain, that's going to be the quickest path to getting more higher end type money, quicker, because they're going to be willing to pay you more. So I'll give you a prime example. I got a guy who just yesterday we signed an agreement. He's paying me $48,000. The money is in process right now, because he sent the information about the money being wired right now. So that probably is in my account right now, or tomorrow, or Monday. But this guy had a very unique situation. He was doing particular webinars and different things, and the conversion level was pretty low. And so he wanted to increase that conversion level. And the more that he did those webinars, the more that he realized that, wait a minute, I think I'm missing out here, because this is not working. So he came to me really, realizing, okay, I got a skill at being able to show him how to increase conversions on these events that he's doing. And he's willing to pay premium money. So if you got a skill that you have, there's some people that really could utilize that skill, and they'll be willing to pay you premium money. So $9,000 to $90,000 in 90 days would be relatively simple. Now, some of you may say, well, I'm not sure what that is. What can I do? Or I don't even have a product yet. I'm just kind of getting started. I want to make an extra $9,000 or $19,000 or $90,000 would be great, or whatever the case is. Maybe if you're in that type of situation, maybe you can find someone else who already have a product and you can supply them with an audience, or you could be the connector. Like, for example, Dr. Stan, you were a connector for me. I remember there's something I required. I wanted to interview some of these really cool people and for my series, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. But I didn't want to get on the phone and call them and do all this stuff myself. I didn't want to do none of that. That wasn't my skill set. So it wasn't because I didn't think that it was a good thing to do. It's just that it wasn't my skill set. And you knew everybody on the planet. So I was like, why don't I get Dr. Stan to reach out, make these connections, and actually set these appointments for me? And you did that. And I was willing to pay top dollar for that probably averaged out to $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour of your time, or even more. And so that's another way that you can do it is actually either find someone who has a product and so forth. And if you got someone who can utilize that product or service, you can make that connection. So there's a couple of ways that you can go about that.
Wow, that's powerful, man. As a matter of fact, Jerry, the thing you just mentioned is crazy because there's somebody watching us. And maybe they don't even recognize their superpower. Maybe it's just connecting with them now, because I remember way back then when you talked about that and you said, I'll pay you so much. And I was like, wait a minute, you will? To me, I'm thinking, but that's simple. That's easy. But again, but that's what I do naturally. I'm a connector, right? And I love talking to people as well. And so, matter of fact, a couple of them, it was like a 5-minute phone call and they were like, okay. And I was like, wow. Did I just make?
That's what I said. You were making hundreds of dollars an hour, maybe even $1,000 an hour. So you know what? I didn't care because I wanted the result.
Right.
I really didn't care how much time it took you. I just wanted the result.
Right.
So so I had two people, you and another person, to set these appointments, make these connections and so forth. Just not because. And it wasn't just anybody. I didn't just get anyone to do that. I wanted to make sure it was someone that I knew had the skill and was really good at being able to do that and to be able to connect me with top quality people. And so, so the money was like, not a big problem. And there's a lot of people like that are,
right.
They can really utilize something that you think is natural to yourself. That you're like, why are you going to pay me this much for this? For you is like natural, but that's the reason why I approached you, or that's the reason why I asked you, is because I knew it. I thought it was natural for you.
Wow.
It's like the superpower in this person. And same other person, and both of you are still utilizing those superpowers.
Right.
That same superpower, both have created careers off of it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was Myron and I were joking around, and I was like, hey, you remember that time I called you and I said, hey, get on I just signed this $1.4 million contract with this company. Was sending me and Chuck Norris around speaking. And I said, they wanted to, and this is right before my book came out. So to your attesting to what you said, sometimes if you don't have the thing, you're connected to somebody that does. And I learned from you about making sure you connect ahead of time and say, hey, do you have an affiliate program? Okay, if I make this connection, will you pay me so much? And so anyway, I said, Myron, get on the plane and I'll get you a bunch of books sold. And so he's like, you just want me to get on the plane? I was like, dude, get on the plane. You about to sell a bunch of books. He comes down literally in a half hour, they signed a deal, 100,000 copies of his book, $200,000 check deposit, bam. And I'm sitting there like, I'm counting the money I made. I was like, all I did was make a connection. And so you're exactly right, Jerry. And so many times people aren't aware of it. So thank you for making people aware of it. Okay, I got to back up real quick. I know our time's just about out here. We got 2 minutes. But Jerry, you were born in a garage in Mississippi, one of 12 children sleeping underneath I mean, like, how do you get from that to being a giant, like literally anybody that was trained in home-based business somehow was trained or influenced by somebody who was trained or influenced by Jerry DRhino Clark. Like, how does that mindset, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So yeah, I was born in a garage in Mississippi, and I remember moving to California when I was about 7 years old. My mother and and my little sister at that time, we moved to California, and yeah, the environment wasn't good. We moved in, they called it the ghetto, I guess. Nowadays they call it the urban inner city disadvantaged areas or something like that. But so we moved in that area, and here's the thing that was interesting. When I went to school, I saw some kids they had like nice clothes and brand new shoes and brand new this and brand new that. And I didn't have none of that. I had secondhand stuff, patches in my pants and all kinds of stuff, because we were living in this ghetto. But I saw people that had like really nice stuff. So I would always ask my mom, I said, Mom, can I get a new pair of pants? Can I get a new this? She was like, no, what do you think? Money grows on trees. We don't have this, da, 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 da. And she goes on and on with all this. And at some point, I remember just thinking, like, what can I do? I was like, 9 or 10 years old. What can I do at 9 years old here to start generating my own money? Because I realized that if I wanted to have some of this stuff, I'm going to have to figure out how to do it myself. And so one thing that I realized is that I can get a paper out. I can get a paper out, start delivering papers. So I started doing that, started delivering papers, ended up getting another paper out and another paper out. By the time I was 16, I had multiple paper outs, and I had other kids delivering the papers for me. And so I had a little paper out empire going by the time I was 16. And then what happens when I went to college, my very first year in college, I got turned on to network marketing. And so that was like the first like entrepreneurial type empire that I, thing other than my paper out and so forth, that I started doing. And I saw people that were making a lot of money doing that within a relatively short period of time. So I figured, how can I learn that? And so I found someone who said he would teach me. He was already making, he was 20 something years old. He was making over $20,000 a month. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so he started teaching me. I just started doing what he told me to do. Things started working out. I started developing a team, started generating income and so forth. Things were working out great. And so during that process of being in that industry, it taught me how to communicate better. It taught me how to do presentations. It taught me how to do sales. It taught me a lot of skills. So I was able to develop my skill set during that time. So I want all of you to know that a lot of times it's not about the specific thing you're doing, as long as whatever it is you're doing, if you're able to develop a skill set of some sort. And some of the most important skill sets that you can develop is the skill of sales, skill of persuasion, the skill of communication. If you can develop these skills, the skill of storytelling, if you can develop these type of skills, they're very valuable. So that was one thing that it did for me. The second thing it did for me, it helped me develop my mindset. So I was able to develop my skill set and my mindset. And one thing that I found out about my mind was that my mind is ready, and your mind is ready to provide you with whatever it is that you're willing to ask. And you have to ask it intentionally, but you can't just stay intentional because if you want to really create an invention from your intention, like if you want your intention to show up in real life, there's a middle piece in there that a lot of people miss. So you have intention, and then you have attention, and then you have invention. So a lot of people want I want the $9,000 in 90 days. I want the $90,000 in 90 days. So they have that intention, and they want that to become an invention, but then they put their attention on things that are not going to allow them to move forward to create that invention. And they end up creating what their attention was on. Like, oh, things not working out. How do I, I'm not able to connect with people. I'm not able to do this. I'm not able to do that. And so they end up putting their attention on those things. And those are the things that expand in their life. So that was really key for me during that stage. And once I kind of realized and learned some of those skills and so forth, I was able to apply them in the marketplace. I started developing. I started to become more successful in life, so to speak, as far as financially and everything else. And then guess who? Some of the people that actually start showing up at my events, people like the Myron Goldens of the world, the Ray Higgins of the world, Markwell Russells of the world, the Dr. Stan Harris's, and all of these great people start showing up at these events, they connected with some of the things I was sharing. They came back, they wanted more, and eventually how can I pay you more now? I mean, I'm paying you $500 or $1,000 for these little small packages. How can I pay you $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, whatever? I was like, okay, we can figure that out. And so that's kind of how it all kind of started. And I retired pretty much from the industry a long time ago. And I started training and teaching other people some of these same skills and so forth. And one of the things I'll do for your audience, or for the people that are listening, is if they want a couple of my audios, like training audios that can help them with their mindset and so forth, I'll go ahead and give that. Just thought about it right now. I don't even have the link set, but let me give you the link that I probably will create for it, clubrhino.com/gifts. Let's just do that. Yeah. clubrhino.com/gifts. I guess by the time you put this out, we should have that link available and ready for people. And then it'll be, I don't even know what audios I'm going to give you, but something to help you with your mindset. So you can really start to hone that. And because if you don't have the mindset down properly, it's going to be tough for you to really generate the type of money that you're talking about. And if you don't have the skill set, then you don't have nothing that nobody wants. So whatever skill set you do have, you just got to figure out how to leverage it. Mm-hmm. Because there is something that you got going on that you just haven't figured out how to leverage yet. And so, and then there are some things that you have going on that you just have to learn to leverage more. So you deserve to enhance that a little bit more. So, but there you have it. I mean, it sounds like you've had some great people on your 9,000 to 90,000 in 90 days. You say you had Myron, and I know Myron coming out there with that $900,000 like that, that's like a regular day for him. And then sounds like you've had a lot of other great people. So this is a great series. Dr. Stan, you're providing a great service for people. You've always done that. Your energy, your enthusiasm, your whole breakthrough attitude that you're giving to people is something that they deserve to have in order to allow themselves to be able to create the results they're seeking.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. And I always tell people I've had more breakdowns than anybody else I know. Thus, I had to break through. And now I just kind of made a lesson out of it and taught people. And a lot I learned from you. So we appreciate you. And thank you again, man, Jerry. You did an awesome and amazing job. So peace, breakthrough, and divine increase. Folks, again, clubrhino.com/gifts. Man, you trust me. You want to get this man's material. B.F. Skinner was half right, half wrong. He said you're a product of your environment, but actually you're not a product of the environment around you. Adam and Eve were in a perfect environment messed up. You're a product of the environment of your mind. And Jerry's information is going to change that. So I like to say we used to be products of our environment. Now we're products of our empowerment. And this is empowerment for you. Jerry, last word, just tell them again, clubrhino.com/gifts.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, like I said, there's going to be some audios there for free for you. No strings attached. You don't have to pay for them or anything like that. So we'll get you set up there. And just always remember to keep charging, and always remember to go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
Woo!